You know, in a world that is just flooded with information, where trends seem to pop up and disappear overnight, our most powerful asset isn't something we can buy or wear. Nope, it's how we think. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Thinkmaxxing. Think of it as a fundamental upgrade to your mental operating system. And honestly, it's one of the most crucial skills for just getting by in modern life.
So, I'm sure you've heard of Looksmaxxing, right? That constant drive for physical self-improvement. It's all over the place. But what if there was a deeper, more lasting way to enhance ourselves? Well, that's exactly where Thinkmaxxing comes into the picture. It's about shifting our focus from investing in our outward appearance to investing in our intellect.
Look, we all get the idea of going to the gym for our bodies, right? Well, Thinkmaxxing is basically a full-on fitness program for your mind. While Looksmaxxing, as you can see here, is all about the surface, Thinkmaxxing goes way deeper. It's about building the internal architecture of your mind, your understanding. And the results? They aren't tied to some passing fad. They're foundational skills that can absolutely transform your life.
And let's be clear, this isn't just about collecting a bunch of random facts to sound smart at parties. It's about building a mind that's sharp, that's discerning, and, resilient. A mind that can slice right through all the noise and find what's real. And that's an investment that pays off in ways that no superficial trend ever could.
So why is this mental upgrade so important, especially right now? Well, because the price we pay for uncritical thinking, it's gotten incredibly high. This isn't just some minor inconvenience anymore. It's a modern survival skill that really does affect every single part of our lives.
I mean, we are all just swimming in this information monsoon. It's a constant downpour. And our brains, which, let's face it, evolved for a much, much simpler world, they're just completely overwhelmed. Without a really strong mental filter, we're at risk of being swept away by a tidal wave of misinformation and arguments that sound good but are actually pretty flawed. And the consequences of that? Oh, they're very real.
On a really practical level, it can lead to some serious financial pain. Uncritical thinking makes us a perfect target for all those get-rich-quick schemes, for speculative investments that are just fueled by internet hype, and for some pretty sophisticated scams out there.
And it's not just about money, is it? It takes a personal toll, too. When we take gossip as fact or just fail to question our own assumptions about other people, well, that leads to misunderstandings and conflict that can really damage and sometimes even break our most important relationships.
And what about at work, professionally? Yeah, a lack of critical thinking is a one-way ticket to a career plateau. The modern workplace rewards people who can analyze problems, who can innovate, and who can adapt. And those skills are pretty much impossible to develop without a sharp, critical mind. Without it, you really do risk getting left behind.
So, what is going on inside our heads that makes us so vulnerable to all this? Well, the answer is in our brain's hidden shortcuts, that efficient but sometimes flawed operating system that we're all running on.
These shortcuts have a name: cognitive biases. Now, it's super important to understand that these are not personal failings. It's not a sign that you're not smart. They're just predictable mental shortcuts, right? Honed by evolution to help us make quick decisions. The problem is, in our super complex world, these same shortcuts can lead to major errors in judgment. Okay, to really get what I'm talking about, let's zoom in on one of the most common biases out there, the anchoring bias. This is our brain's tendency to rely way too heavily on the very first piece of information we get when we're making a decision. Okay, here's a classic example from retail. Imagine you see a jacket. The store sets a high anchor with that so-called original price of $200. Now, even if that price was just pulled out of thin air, our brain latches onto it. So when we see the sale price of $120, our perception is totally skewed. We're not judging the jacket's worth on its own. We're judging it compared to that high anchor, which makes $120 seem like an amazing bargain. And this happens everywhere, from salary negotiations to legal settlements. All right, so we've talked about the glitches inside our own minds, but we also need to get good at spotting flawed reasoning that's coming at us from the outside world. And that is where logical fallacies come into play. So here's the key thing to get about fallacies. It's not about whether a conclusion is true or false. It's about the process someone used to get there. These are like deceptive cracks in the foundation of an argument. A fallacious argument is like a bridge built with rotten wood. It might look okay from a distance, but it's just not reliable. Now, one of the most common and, frankly, distracting fallacies is the ad hominem attack. That's Latin for to the person. And it's basically a rhetorical weapon that's designed to shift your focus away from the actual topic at hand. See, a valid argument deals with the idea itself.
But an ad hominem, it completely ignores the argument and just attacks the person who's making it. So, for example, if you dismiss a scientist's climate research by calling them an out-of-touch academic, you haven't actually said anything about their data or their methods. It's a total diversion. It's not a debate.
So just knowing about biases and fallacies is a huge first step. But the next step is taking control. Thinkmaxxing is all about going from being a passive consumer of information to becoming the active architect of your own mind. And this is the really empowering part, right? We don't have to just be at the mercy of our brain's weird shortcuts or other people's misleading arguments. By consciously working on the quality of our thinking, we can build a stronger, more resilient mental framework. We can actually shape our own understanding of the world. So here's a practical toolkit to help you get started. Before you make a big decision or form a really strong opinion, just pause and ask yourself these questions. Like number 1, question the anchor. Let's say you're interviewing someone for a job. Are you letting the first thing you saw, like the college they went to, color your entire perception of them? Actively asking these questions helps you basically reinforce your mental structures against all these invisible forces. You say, Thinkmaxxing isn't some destination you arrive at. It's a process. It's a continuous journey of learning and refining. It is an investment in your single most valuable asset. So really, the only question left is this. You have the tools. What are you going to build?